Hopefully it shows up in the right place. Because I still haven't been able to sync it back since they've changed the.
Be back 1 sec. 1 sec.
Yeah, it says we're live, Steve.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
Awesome. Yep, we're live. It shows up in the right place.
Okay.
Yep. Because I still haven't been able to sync it back since they've changed the.
Be back 1 sec.
That's weird. Okay.
What was that?
There's a delay there.
Video.
Yeah.
I was, watching it on my TV or on my monitor. What the heck? There we go. All right. So, hi, everybody. Sorry, we were a little late. We're getting the technical issues as usual out of the way. I'm in the Stone Age. My last name is Stone. So, there you go. I'm joined today with Phil Langdon, who's an author. He's got a couple good books out there for anybody that needs help with understanding symbology, the Bible, whatnot. One's called Ascension, and the other one is The Blueprint for the Gods. You got that one published, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, and this is Jack Frater. Jack has.
I'm just a dude. I'm just a dude that's interested in mysticism.
Right. Oh, it did get. So we are on a different live stream. Thank you, Michelle. I appreciate that. Yeah, my technical abilities are not at par with the YouTube algorithm as of late. By the way, the YouTube likes to delete your chat live on the fly now, as you're on live streams.
What do
they
you
were
mean?
doing that to me on the Kabbalah U channel. Maybe because I always got to voice my opinion, but I thought it was the channel, but I had emailed them and they said it was the algorithm of YouTube doing it.
Right. What was it looking for? Keywords?
I think I said a couple of hot button words in that particular stream, and they shut me down. The weird part of it is that I thought I was chatting on there. I could see my comments, even on the replay. I could see my comments in the comment section. But if I logged out of my account and logged in incognito, went back, my comments would be gone. Now that's low and underhanded.
They don't like you, Steve.
But come on, that's weird. Who am I? I'm nobody. I got, it's not like everybody's hearing my voice or my message, and my message is nothing new.
Yeah, is that what? Go on, Phil.
No, I was just going to say, have they sorted out some new system where they're doing things like on the fly now and not in hindsight?
Yes, it's some sort of AI algorithm that's monitoring their chat. They're like a chat bot, or and it looks for hot button words, I think, or high profile, words like bomb on a plane and all that stuff. If you say bomb on a plane, you're right. Say certain word in correlation to the president, or in the same sentence as the president, you could get in trouble.
So now you've just red flagged this conversation already.
Right. So yeah, we're going to be shut down. Right. Hey, I want to say hi to everybody. Hey, Max Vision, Michelle Can-Am Free, Thoth. Thanks for joining us. Caitlin Jones. Caitlin's been binge watching our conversations lately, and she's renewed my excitement for the whole, knowledge or gnosis game. You know what I mean, right?
Oh, right. Really cool.
Yeah. So, she's really excited, but you've probably read a few of her comments in some of the videos that we've done.
Yeah. I've had a little chat with Caitlin. Yeah.
Yeah. She's pretty awesome. Seems to be on the level.
Mm-hmm.
But what's up, Robert V? But everybody, thanks for joining us. And, we were going to talk about the Cali Yuga or whatever comes up as usual. And maybe
they call it Cali Yuga.
Excuse me, Cali Yuga.
No, Cali Yuga. Yeah, it's
Cali Yuga. What do you mean?
It's called Cali Yuga, but the Indians, they just call it Cali Yuga.
Oh.
So yeah.
Like, okay.
Yeah. No. It's. I've got a couple of Indian guys at work. And Indian
guys, not American Indian.
Yeah, dots, not feathers, as they say out here.
Dots, not because the dot on the forehead.
Yeah, or the bindi. The bindi.
That's what it's called.
Well, the bindi represents the point at which all creation emanates from, over the third eye.
Did you see that? Phil just disappeared.
Yeah, he just vanished into thin air.
Into thin air. That was weird, dude.
Yeah, it's a magic trick.
My internet connection is unstable.
Oh. You got your bag of peas?
Hey?
You got your bag of peas in case you
Yeah. My screen just froze.
Yeah, I see it. It froze, but without you in it. It was weird.
Oh, weird. All right.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's what I said you're doing. Scratch is here now. Hey, what's up, Scratch? Yeah, but dude, on that Cali Yuga thing, I read two different things on it today. One where Sadhguru was talking about it, and he said it was like a 2,600 year span of time. And if you look it up in Wikipedia, it says it's 432,000 years of time.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Which is which?
Don't know.
Yeah.
But do you guys recognize that number, 432?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
That's what the A scale used to be tuned at back in the day until they changed it to 440, right?
Yeah, I think when equal temperament came about, A was originally 440. No, 432.
Yes.
Yeah.
And they changed it. And what's your opinion on that, Phil?
On what exactly?
Being how they changed the tuning from 432 to 440.
I don't know what effect it has on you. I know there is a difference, but I'm not familiar with that specifically, to be honest.
Cool.
Yeah, I've looked into it. It doesn't really seem like a big conspiracy of any sort. It's just something that happened.
Why did it happen though?
I'll be honest, I don't know.
Right.
I was talking to
there you go.
I was talking to the guy from SGD, Sacred Geometry Decoded, and he had a great film, or he did a great series on all of the synchronicities with 432, 273, the monthly moon cycle, all that, and then how it all just fits together so magically. Like you said, the Great Pyramid is at every level an iteration of how levels of reality just fold in on each other.
Yeah, I've got an interesting story about number synchronicity that happened a few weeks ago, actually. It was kind of mind-blowing. So me and my friends went randonauting just around the area where I live in North County, San Diego. It's that app that generates a random location, and you go to it and you can see if you can find anything. And it took us like under this bridge next to a golf course, not in an urban area. And I was walking under this bridge, and there was a newspaper there, and there was one page from the newspaper that was removed from it. And I picked it up, and this was from 2003 or something like that, or 2001. And it was a sports page for a guy called Barry Bonds' record number of home runs in a season. Do you remember that, Steve?
Yes, I do.
And he hit, it was a double page spread with a little caption of every home run he hit. And in the middle, it says a big number, 73. So I was like, wow, that's interesting. So I looked up the number 73. And it turns out it's known as a star number in mathematics. And 73 times 37 equals 2,601 or something like that. And that's equal to the gematria of Genesis 1:1 in the Hebrew Bible. And I had that kind of intention to look for something mystically surprising when I did it. And 73 times 37 is equal to Genesis 1:1 gematria in Hebrew. And also it's the third and fourth star numbers in mathematics.
What do you guys think the geometria thing's about? Do you think it's just a thing for us to get clues on that our reality is more than what it is, and that's just it? I mean, you can't hang your hat on finding the truth on a number sequence, right? You know what I mean?
Not all the stuff about numbers and sacred geometry. That's like saying the music of the spheres or the harmony of the universe, because it's a harmonious structure. Everything relates to everything in it. You know, the center of the universe is everywhere in the universe, as it were, at the same time, which makes perfect sense in a strange sort of way. So to me, that's just like saying, we're just talking about the cycles that are predictable.
Yeah,
they're predictable. Yeah, physical is always predictable.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, it's so. Going back to our topic, is this why Krishna was able to make these profoundly accurate predictions 5,000 years ago with respect to Kali Yuga?
well, Krishna is God, isn't it?
No, I know, but
that's like saying if you meet somebody from 500 years ago and you tell them about computers, you're not going to know what you're talking about. So we know now everyone knows, or hopefully everyone thinks that the Earth goes around the sun.
Yeah.
Some people don't, but there you go. But I mean, if you go back 500 years, a lot of people thought, no, the Earth is flat and all that sort of thing. So when you know these things, you can make predictions and say, well, I know that the moon is going to eclipse on this day. And when people see that and they say, oh my God, we didn't know that. How did you know that? You must be a god. Well, no, I just know the cycles. That's all.
There was a Bugs Bunny cartoon where he goes back in time and predicts an eclipse or something. I remember. Yeah. But so the reason I brought this up, and I wanted you to see if you could throw some light on it, Phil, is because with all the election has turned into a bit of a power struggle. And one of Krishna's predictions for Kali Yuga was that basically liars and psychopaths will rule the masses during this time. And it gave, like, reading about it in depth over the last few days took away any negative emotions that I might have felt regarding the situation in the current zeitgeist, if you see what I mean. I was like, this shit doesn't matter anyway. It's just the time we live in. Why would I bother getting worked up about it? You know. So
it's predictable simply because in that everything goes in cycles, and if you look at a wave, it goes up and it goes down. It's the same principle as the pendulum swing, you know, in the Hermetic principle, when you're told that if you swing your pendulum out to an extreme, it's going to come back and go to the other extreme without your being able to control it. And you have to allow it to come back to equilibrium, so you're in the middle instead of going out to an extreme. You know, it's that sort of thing. So that it's just natural. Ignorance comes and goes. You know, the fluctuation of ignorance in the population of a planet.
That's what Cali is. The Cali of the Yugas is us moving away from
truth,
wisdom, right? Wisdom and truth, knowledge, or what should be.
Yeah, because it's like I was thinking about this the other day. If you just think of a family, a royal family, I've been thinking about royalty a lot. Someone who's born into a royal family, they're surrounded by luxury. They're not going to bother doing anything hard to themselves necessarily, unless they've got that in their character. You know, unless they're a bit fiery. So they might become complacent, and that complacency has come from not knowing what else there is.
Right.
So, I mean, all they know is luxury, and they just take it for granted. Well, now you there's more to reality than that. Therefore, if they're going to know their total self, they have to go into the more hellish environments that are extant as well.
Or a pun on word, be more holy, right?
Say again.
Be more holy. Know the whole picture is what I mean.
Yes, yeah. Sorry,
I cut you off, bud.
That's right. And I also hear when you were talking about Krishna there, Jack, I can hear in what you're saying, that he's looking at things from the higher perspective all the time. So he can see. So he's looking across all time and says, "Don't worry, it gets a bit crappy over here, but then it picks up again."
Yeah. Well, this is the thing. I just when you read what was it, Surya Siddhanta and Krishna, what all the predictions for this time, like what we're seeing in America right now is the absolute epitome of that. You know, and knowing that this was said all these years ago, whether it's a parable or someone actually wrote it down. I don't really know, and I don't care. And I think you can do a mystical exegesis on the text anyway. There's lots of, because when the king was cursed, he had 7 days to live, and on the 7th day he ascended to heaven. So there's all those mystical references entwined in the story. But yeah, my point was, it just made me very calm and feel a lot of solace during like all the madness going, this shit doesn't matter anyway. There's going to be another election in 4 years and then another one in 4 years. So
every election,
what's
going to make or break America. Every one of them is that.
Yeah. What's the use in worrying about it? Absolutely none at all.
So when you're reading stuff like that, you're tuning into the higher mind of the higher way of looking, because he's expressing that higher way of looking, and that's what you're experiencing there by reading it, and it's inculcating that in you as well. Definitely.
I've learned lately that that's essentially what we need to come to terms with, is what that higher mind is what our true state should be, right?
Yeah. To look beyond just the physical. I'm absolutely aware of this, especially in the last few months, I'd say, quite in a focused way for myself. To take that in, because normally in my youth I was saying, I kind of know God exists, but I have no proof of that, and it's not in my experience, and all I can experience is the physical at the moment, and it's really getting on my nerves, and that's all I know, so then you want to know the higher things. So then when you see it and you know it for yourself, you think, oh my God, it does exist, but I can incorporate that in my thinking now, so now your is expanded. And when something little trivial happens, like when you're a kid, a cut on your hand is a serious issue. But when you're an adult and you saw it in your hand, you think, that's nothing. It doesn't matter anymore, because you're older. It's just trivial. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah, you develop the skill of taking it in and understanding it, and
expanding your view all the time. Expanding, taking more and more in. Yeah.
Because it also is like on the Battle of Kurukshetra, when Krishna's educating or advising Arjuna, he like tells him that he has to fight. Like, he can't just abandon the battle. It's almost like he has to fight. Yes, there's a battle going on, but it's like we have to fight individually to stay in phase and in harmony with Dharma, because if we stray away from Dharma, then, everything basically falls to shit. Excuse my language. So I definitely think, like, with the whole, the politics of the left right now, to me, it seems like they're going against natural law. And when I say that, I mean, you reap what you sow. You make your bed and you lie in it. And they're like telling people, oh, you don't have to make your bed, that, you can lie in this other bed. We'll save you, etc., etc. And that's just not going to wash. And it's always collapsed in the past for those reasons,
Let me read the definition of Kali Yuga, where I just seen it, and it fits surprisingly well with what we're, where our society is. Hindus believe that human civilization spiritually degenerates during the Kali Yuga, known as the Dark Age, because it involves people turning as far away from God as possible. That's the Kali. Yeah. And some say that we just exiting that era.
Oh, I don't know about that. Seems like it's just ramping up more and more.
But is that not the point of chaos, is to develop the highest understanding of the whole?
Yeah, adversity brings you closer to deity.
Yeah, I think.
It does, yeah. I was going to say, when you were talking there, Jack, about you keep mentioning Krishna. I don't know whether it's common knowledge, but the battle, I mean, people could argue that the battle in the Bhagavad Gita was a real historical event. Fine. You can waste your time on that if you want to, because that is a waste of time.
No,
I'm not saying you are. I'm just saying,
generally speaking, yeah.
I haven't got to the point yet. So if you only apply it to a real historical battle, as some people might suggest, then you've lost the point of the text, because the text is actually really talking about the final battle between your ego, your personal identity, and your true self. And that is the final. I've noticed, because Krishna is there with Arjuna, it's as if Arjuna has received spiritual union, and he's now receiving instruction to so that he can have complete and utter ego death, the final ego death, as it were, which we need. I think we need to elucidate on, basically, because I saw someone getting that wrong in terms of semantics on Facebook recently. They didn't like the expression ego death because they think, well, how can I destroy my ego? It's still here. Yeah, that's right. It's just an expression, a semantic expression that refers to your attention and what your awareness is aware of. Are you aware of your true self or not? So when you have spiritual union, you are going to have the battle of Armageddon with your own self. And I'm telling you, that is exactly what goes on. That's exactly what's happened in the last year in my life. I've been through the battle of Armageddon. See, and it was initiated by contact with twin flame, mirror soul. That's what initiated it for me. I don't know if it does it for everybody else, but that's what did it for me.
Have you ever felt like you've gone through this at a lower level before? The same thing you're talking about right now at this level? Have you gone through?
Yeah.
So it's like the miniature Cali Yuga within you, right?
Yeah, basically, yeah, that's right. There's all sorts of instances in your life where you're going to challenge your own self and think, well, hang on a minute, am I being egotistical? If you got, if you're a bit savvy and you realize that you're subject to your psychology to some extent, but then you realize, hang on a minute, I have choice, which is beyond psychology, because psychology is automatic, yes, and that has nothing to do with choice. So awareness is choice and free will and freedom to choose over the automatic. Do you see what I'm saying? And that's your battle in life often.
It's interesting you bring up the ego thing.
Oh man, what happened?
I'm still here.
Oh, my computer keeps blanking out on me. I don't know what the heck's going on. Sorry.
Okay.
And so, what, in your opinion, now, this Cali Yuga and what we're talking about here, it's a pendulum swing. It's a rhythm. It's on all those schematics that you show us of how the mentalism begets correspondence, and then the principles and all that. And it's that pendulum, that rhythm's always at the V point. So the rhythm is the ebb and flow of our existence, and whether it be information, whether it be humanity and our striving for knowledge or whatever, it'll go back and forth regardless of what we want. And we just have to learn how to rise above that and use our stillness inside us. Is that what you're saying, to get through that?
Yeah, no matter what you experience, you as a spirit are not affected by anything in time and space whatsoever. None of it affects you at all. The only issue of being in this experience is to experience the total aspect of your whole being. That's all. It has nothing to do with all the dramas. The dramas are a consequence of the physical nature by itself, basically. And of course, the fact that awareness, which is eternity itself, is engaged in the physical experience. So
that what you just articulated right there is exactly how the thing that came into my mind recently about how the awareness is the light itself, correct? I mean, it is the consciousness of everything. I mean, it's the pinnacle of it, right?
You are eternity itself.
Yeah.
That's what you are. You are eternity. That a spirit is eternity.
Yeah, but the ego's not eternity, though, is it? That's the difference.
What do you think? Exactly. Think of this concept? Is ego where gravity comes from?
No. Your ego is nothing but personal identity. It's to say, I'm this person.
Tying you to Earth, or holding you to your decaying flesh, or your death, or you know what I mean? Does it hold you in a conceptual way? Does it hold you back? Can it hold you back, even if you know this knowledge and still strive to not let it hold you back? I mean, is it just determined on each person's free will? That's the true free will, is to make that decision or not, to let the ego go, or because don't you have to learn to live with your ego?
Yes. That's right. We're not letting any ego go. That's semantics. That's bad semantics, I'd say. There's nothing to let go of. You simply recognize that you have a personal identity that we can call ego. And there it is. Okay, so recognize it. Recognize that you are not that.
Right. Yeah.
That's all.
Yeah. You know, it's interesting. Like, I had quite a profound experience yesterday when I was finishing work. Basically, like, so I'm 8 hours behind back home where you are, Phil. My dad sent me a picture randomly. He emailed me a picture of me and my cousin when I was a little boy, and I was about 4 years old. And I looked at that picture, and it was like looking back at myself in the past. And I'm telling you, man, I got so emotional looking at it. I almost nearly started crying. And one of my colleagues noticed, and he was like, "Are you all right?" And I was like, I just walked off and kind of blanked him. And it made me so sad. It was very poignant because I saw myself like so blissfully happy, so innocent, no ego, like such a limited personal identity, and just really very peaceful and serene. And I was just thinking, I was like, God, what fucking happened over the next fucking 20 or 20, 30 or 28 years that, you know, and then it made me realize how the negative aspect of the logos, the satanic aspect of the logos, the best it can do is create this physical being with an ego that needs to go beyond it. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
It was deep, dude.
It's just a vessel in which pure consciousness, which is what we are, can experience itself and know itself fully. Without that, it can't achieve that. You know, it's part and parcel of it.
Yeah.
So it's not evil, but only when you contextualize it as
yeah, that's what I mean. That's what I mean in that context.
Mm. Yeah.
Well, the word evil backwards is live, so.
Right.
Little word salad for you.
You know, I got to be honest though. I really don't know why it made me so like emotional just to see a picture of myself as a child. It made me so emotional, man.
I cry every time I see pictures, man.
Yeah, I just, you know.
You just coined the difference there. When you're younger, you have much less of a personal identity. You know, there's less competition. You want to engage in an energetic sense of fun with other people and play.
Everything's new, fresh.
Yeah, the natural way is to play with others.
Yes.
Yeah, isn't it? Isn't that funny? And then we start getting intellectual and
7 years old is when you lose that. When I lost it, 7 years old.
Really?
I kept my kids kept it until I kind of coddled it in them until they were about 12.
Right.
About 12 years old, they lost it because I kind of sheltered them.
Yeah.
You know, it's weird because it's when you realize Santa Claus isn't a guy that comes down a chimney and leaves presents underneath your tree.
Oh yeah, he does.
Well, that's why I clicked the not for kids thing on the YouTube menu on this video.
No, yeah. He
There's no spoiler alerts here. But you know what I mean?
Yeah, I guess that's the
how it's about our spiritual journey, right? In the sense.
Yeah. You know, that's I just want to say, Phil, quickly, that's how I understand the difference between soul and spirit. If I think about spirit, I just think of the Christmas spirit and how everyone gets it when it comes December, whereas soul's really your infinitely small spark of the divine. Do you know what I mean? Which is also infinite.
I see them together as one, or just it's like looking at I don't know what can I use there? Like even just a pen. You got the structure and you've got the actual fluid in it that has a useful quality. You know, they both exist together. You can't have one without the other. It's like having two words to describe different aspects of one thing. That's how I see it, as it were.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
there's Carlos Regatas has a question. I've had so much confusion about enlightenment regarding the demiurge and the light being one in the same. I really appreciated your email, Phil. I've not had internet for a while. Oh, you must have. It's Carlo Regatas. He's
Yeah, I remember. I remember.
So you
Yeah,
must
yeah.
have set them straight, and that it is one and the same, right?
Yeah. Because it's physical and spiritual at the same time. You could write a book about its physical nature only, and a book about its spiritual nature only, and
I've done it now.
confuse people.
I'm sorry.
You know?
Yeah,
Yep.
it's all right. Don't worry about it.
Okay.
I'm just thanks. I just
And,
hit it with something, but yeah.
What I wanted to address
Yeah, I'm
right
just talking to a friend in England, but yeah. All right,
Jack,
thanks, Jack.
Jack.
Appreciate it.
You know, there's a mute button if you need to do.
you
Oh,
gotta-
sorry. Yeah, my landlady.
Thank you.
Sorry, I just
All
borrowed.
right. Okay, now I get this every time I do a video or every time I talk about what's our chances or what our true meaning or purpose for is on this planet is to define who we truly are, what we are, and to redefine whatever to ourselves, right? The whole enlightenment gig. Now, every time we talk about this, there's always people that are saying, well, what about this outside of us? What about they are trying to do this? They are trying to do that. They are trying to do this. They are trying to do that. What do you say to people that cannot get it through, their perspective that they is truly what the problem is, the word or the distinction is do you follow me there? Do you agree with that or not?
I know exactly what you're saying. And basically, if you go back 10 minutes and listen to what we were talking about then, when you recognize that you're not physical and therefore physical changes, spirit is not affected by time and space or anything physical. It's just not affected by it at all. So all these, this person's doing that to me, they're doing this to me. It's just physical machinations. You'll get over it. Things change. Sometimes your life dips, sometimes it rises. Usual thing. But you're not affected by it. But then
That's
if
just
someone,
such an enormous leap for somebody that's in the vibration of the now.
yeah. So there's the problem in ignorance, in not knowing yourself. You don't realize and you can't think like that. You have to almost have to force it. You force yourself to think. Well, I think there is God, and He's probably going to save me somehow, and hopefully, fingers crossed.
Right.
But all
So-
the more to know yourself.
Yeah. So, Phil, how do you contextualize that? What you just said, spirit is unaffected by physical events. How do you contextualize that with respect to like emotional trauma that we experience in the world? Is it just merely transitory, and we'll get over it, or is there more to it than that?
Yeah, you can get over anything. It depends on your awareness of if I, for instance, right now, I'm aware that I am not a physical entity. Even though you're talking to a physical person, my awareness is that I am God. You don't know that because I don't say that.
Right, because it sounds like you're just like, I'm God.
No. This physical person is not
Right,
God.
I understand where you're coming from, but
Yeah, so
3,000
so
people that see this won't.
right. So I'm using this body to convey from a new position of awareness that I am pure consciousness, and I know I'm pure consciousness because that's what I've experienced. Therefore, I know it. Therefore, no one can tell me otherwise. I know it for myself, and that is the new standard awareness. So whatever physical happens, I think, well, that's going to take 5 years. Okay, in 5 years, I'll do that. In the meantime, I'll just enjoy myself over here. I'll just, do this and do that. I don't care what other people do. It doesn't mean anything to me. Even if I become homeless, I can still take care of myself, and I'll be very happy in myself because I know what's what. Doesn't matter what my physical surroundings are. It doesn't affect me anymore. You see what I mean? You become less and less affected by these things. See? Yep. So you don't think about them anymore. You don't think about what's going to happen next week if the police come knocking on my door, or whatever, for whatever reason. I just don't care. It doesn't come into my thoughts at all anymore. You see?
Yes, I get it. But I'm trying to figure out a way to explain it to other people.
Yeah, there's the problem, because if you do the Eckhart Tolle to them, which is what I've just done, if you focus on your being instead of your emotions or your intellect, which will drive you crazy.
Yes, it does.
Yeah, it'll drive you crazy. That's all they'll do. If you keep entertaining them, they just keep slapping you in the face until you realize, hang on, I'm actually doing this to myself.
Yes.
So I think I better stop that. And you are your own gatekeeper for any experience you want. If you want to be affected by the shite that you hear on the news, what about if you switch the TV off and don't watch it for a day? You're still thinking about it? You're not. You can think about anything else you want. It's not about ignoring things that are important and being foolish and putting your head in the sand, because that's what some people will argue there. No, I'm sorry. There's a much higher reality that if you realize that you are being, you don't have to be affected by anything in the world or anything anyone ever says, ever.
And is there truth to saying if we all take care of what's inside of us and ourselves only, and we do the highest possible, the highest fixing or live to the highest potential that we can, which is in resonance with everything? I mean, won't the rest take care of itself?
It exudes from you, and you actually become a magnet for you become like an inspiration for others. You know, and when they are inspired by you, they are no longer thinking of the nonsense in the world. They're looking at you and thinking, here is something that's good. I want to think about that more and more, which is precisely what happened when I found Bruce Lee when I was 15. You know, I thought, that's what I want to be like. I don't want to be able to kick.
That nice feeling when I think about that guy. Yeah.
Yeah. I thought, I love that wisdom. It just sounds excellent and intelligent and useful.
This feeling of blissful. I don't know. It's just weird. Whenever I hear his name, it's like be water. And
yeah, that's right. That's one of my favorites. You know, be water, because it's like spirit. Water's like spirit in that sense.
Yes. Yeah, and no matter how much we try to prove anything to anybody, nobody's going to take us, our experience or what we tell them as 100% truth, because they didn't experience it. And this is what you've been telling me since I've met you, and you know that's finally sinking in here after a couple of years. Because I like to get up on that soapbox and just this is it. You know, this is you're doing this wrong and you're doing this, but nothing's wrong and nothing's right in your journey, right? I mean.
Yeah, it's not, you don't need. Another issue is people wanting validation from the outside world or other people. You don't need to be validated by anybody.
Part of the ego, right?
Yeah, you don't need to be validated by others. You validate yourself to yourself.
Right. I think that's a consequence of like being unbalanced and having like a polarized mind. Like the polarized mind always seeks validation from outside of itself. Yeah. Whereas the more balanced your psyche becomes and the more you're able to think clearly, the less and less that's required. Yeah. No, that's very true. Yeah.
Yeah. So you end up in a blissful, peaceful state just permanently, you know?
You know, it's interesting on that point. I seem like I'm like giving up loads of things in life, like lots of desires and ambitions and goals that I had. I'm like not bothered about them now. It's like whatever, I'll just let it be, you know. And it's kind of liberating, to be honest, you know.
They change. They change over time, don't they? Look at what you desired when you were 3 years old. You wanted toys. You want that toy in the shop. That's all you can think about. I want that toy. Now you're 50 years old. It's like, why would I bother with that toy? You know, why would I bother? It doesn't do anything for me. It depends how old you are.
That's what makes us the creatures of wrath, right? The consumers that just never get the void filled, and that void that we're all trying to fill with whatever it is that void of our emptiness from ourselves, right?
Yeah, sure, but you know, when we talk about things like that, people might start thinking, "Are we saying that you should never desire anything ever again?" And Buddha says that desire is a source of suffering and all this sort of thing. And you think, well, yeah, that may be true, but if I desire a cup of tea, I would appreciate that, and it's a temporary thing. I don't have to go to hell for it. You know, it's not a big deal. It's not a problem to have a little desire. Do you know what I mean? You know, it is for it what it is. That's fine. That's it. Knowing things for what they are. That's all it is. You don't have to bend too far. You never go unnatural. You know, I've always been someone who's just thought, well, the natural way is just to feel relaxed and just go with your own natural way. What else is there? really. And that turned out to be a good thing, I think. Yeah.
Yes. In coming into tune with yourself is coming into tune with all aspects of your reality, everything that is input, as we consider it input. I mean, the surroundings, the way things work, the way people are. I mean, and just being at a constant resonant with, you know what I'm trying to get at.
Yeah.
If we exude overwhelming happiness,
Self-happiness.
you're a flake. You know what I mean? You know what I mean by that?
Mm.
How do you carry your, I mean, it's not like I care. I don't, I'm just trying to, because there's people in my life that I care about that I'd like to see, to help them along.
Mm-hmm.
The ones that are interested and the ones that aren't, right? But the ones that are just remotely interested, they kind of shut you down as soon as you start talking about, God and, there's for some reason people do not like the Christian dogma or whatever it is. You were talking about that earlier now, or in the emails that we were sending. So, but I mean, how do you navigate that sort of thing with people that are remotely interested? But I mean, do you even address it? Do you even try to talk to them about it, or do you just
No. I meet people where they are, because I know that knowing, there's a great distinction between pre and post illumination, and that isn't known by pre-illumination. This is not known. Knowing that you have to, well, naturally, to be honest, you're more interested in the other person. I'm not really interested in bamboozling people with information. I certainly don't volunteer it. Only when it, you get a sense sometimes that somebody can see something in you and they want to know something, and they ask an interesting question because they think you might know something interesting, and then you open up a conversation on that subject, and now you can have a conversation on the subject because they were interested. But if it doesn't occur to them, and then the issue is, well, why are you hanging out
can you
with
go?
the
Right. What did you say there? Sorry.
I mean, who is it? Is it a relative? Is it a
Yeah.
friend? Is it an acquaintance? Is it somebody at work? Because at work, I'm not going to talk about any of this because there's no need, because I'm at work. And
Right.
we at work, the issue is maintenance, not metaphysics.
Yeah.
So you don't walk around with that metaphysical mindset.
I do. I'm thinking like that all the time. But when I engage with people at work, I have to engage at the level of work.
Or the level of where they're at, because there's a guy at work I work with that is really interested in this, but he can't get his mind or past the politics and all of that, and he still argues about that stuff and tries to bring that stuff up with me, and I'm just like, I'm not interested. It just doesn't interest me. Yeah.
Oh, see, on that point, Steve, that you
That's
made,
what I mean. I'm trying to, how do you integrate those two things that come together at us all the time?
Well, yeah, that's on that point that you make. I got a question regarding that, Phil. Do you like genuinely think, and I might be wrong in this, but I feel like in terms of like becoming really interested in metaphysics and studying and practicing meditation, when I look at the world outside, I feel like a lot of people, it's just not their time. Their soul has other things that it must experience first. Like, someone may want to, their soul, they may need to become a millionaire entrepreneur first, or something or other. I don't know. I mean, do you think that's true? It's not everybody's time in this life.
Yeah, of course. But then you've got yeah, you can say that, but then your free will, your spirit overrides all that at the end of the day anyway. So if you wake up a bit and you think, hang on a minute, I don't have to go through all those karmic things I'm supposed to do, because the only reason I'm supposed to go through those is because I haven't woken up. So if I wake myself up, I'll actually override that.
Right. Yeah.
This is true. You, as I said, you are your own gatekeeper. You can override any of these things by simply recognizing why you're here.
Yeah, Krishna said even in the Kali Yuga, the lowest, when humanity's at its lowest of the low, one can still rise above it all just
Yeah.
by their own decisions and their own discernment. So
Yeah, it depends on you. If you think, hang on a minute, what's going on here? Where am I? What am I doing here again? What's going on? That's simple.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I feel like that. I feel like that sometimes at work when I'm like looking out the window at the sunshine and the palm trees. I'm like, how the fuck have I ended up here? Like, what is this all about? You know?
Yeah.
It's interesting. I mean, well, when I was saying, Phil, like giving up on things, what I mean to qualify that a bit more in a bit more detail, I'm trying to like not interact with people in a way that builds karma now, and I'm trying to like pay it all off consciously. Do you know what I mean? So that's like just doing my duty to manage my material life and basically minimizing interactions that I have with other people and like altering my desires to things much more loftier rather than temporal. Do you see what I mean?
I don't know. Go on. Sorry.
No, go on.
No, I was just going to say, I don't know how far you want to go with the idea of tempering your desires, you know, because desires are natural and normal for a human being. No one's judging you to have them. It's not a problem.
I meant temporal desires.
Yeah. Nothing wrong with them. I don't see any problem with them at all. You know, there's a lot of emphasis in spiritual talk that you have to be highly spiritual 24/7. As if there's no human element to it anymore, as if you have to get away from being human when that's complete nonsense. If you look at Zen, that's all about being human, but it's all about being spirit in a human form. So it recognizes both at the same time, Zen. That's very interesting. So it's telling you to negate yourself, keep negating yourself. Your ego is evil, do something about it. And there's nothing to do about it. Just recognize that you are pure consciousness and that will solve all your problems. Basically. Yeah. You come into your being, your awareness becomes of your own being by itself without the emotional engagement, without the physical nature at all. Recognize that you're not the physical nature and just be aware of that you are that. And then you'll realize that the physical things very quickly or however long it takes you.
Let me rephrase that. It's more the only things that I am after are things that I think that I need to manage temporal existence. Beyond that, I don't really see the point now. I'm like, well, you know, I'm more like interested in like reading about Cali Yuga and shit like that. You know what I mean? And relating it to trying to think about things from that perspective of Krishna much more. You know?
Yeah.
So yeah, it's weird.
Whatever floats your boat, you know, there's nothing wrong with having a bit of fun. Jesus, I mean, nobody said you can't have fun.
I'm not saying I'm not having fun.
No. I'm not saying it. I'm not saying you're not saying that, but people would take what you're saying into that sort of zone and start misinterpreting things from the Upanishads, because the Upanishads tend to emphasize the idea that life is not there to be enjoyed; it's there to be awakened.
Right.
Fine, but it doesn't mean you can't enjoy yourself as well. It doesn't say you can't enjoy yourself. It says if you only enjoy yourself and do not awaken, you've wasted your time. It doesn't say you can't enjoy yourself. You see? So
y'all don't have to go join a nunnery and become a nun?
No, you don't. Unless you really want to. Unless that's what floats your boat. It's up to you.
Right.
But you know, don't judge somebody who does that. And you got to let people do what they think is right, you know, and we all find our way on our own.
Is that not the biggest lesson is to not judge anybody because
there's no point.
Right.
No point. It's just a waste of time. That's all.
Yes, that's what
it doesn't go anywhere.
Yeah, because what do you get out of it other than you said something and now people look at you like, okay, you're an asshole.
you can create karma like that.
Right.
Yeah,
There's a good thing I wanted to bring up too was karma. Your opinion on karma and how does that reflect and how does that retract or bounce back on you and, you know, for certain things you do.
Yeah, you can override all karma. I don't know whether you're familiar with Hindu stories, but they're often talking about how when somebody comes into the presence of God, all their karma is burnt. It's just gone. That's it, gone. Why is that? Because they've seen through all the illusion. That's all. That's why.
The attachment to whatever.
Well, now you know the exact context of the physical issues. I know what my intellect is and what it's for. Therefore, I'm not going to misuse it anymore. I know what my emotions are and how they work. Therefore, I am in command of them. I can feel them. It doesn't mean I stop their nature. It means I am not them, and I can sit back from them and still have them, knowing what they are and knowing that I am not them.
That must be a weird feeling.
No, it's not. It's the most perfect feeling because you are utterly tranquil and basically just blissful. Which is
that'd be a weird feeling for me.
It's rest. It's pure rest.
Right. I'm just trying to be a little.
I know.
Yeah, that's exactly what I think we're all after is that blissful hum.
Yeah. So instead of focusing on your thoughts, thinking they're going to have to make you happy, your thoughts cannot make you happy. Well, they can generate joy and happiness, sure. But you are happiness, bliss by itself already. So you stop all that. Or you just don't, you are not your thoughts. You're not the clouds in the sky. You're the blue sky itself. You see what I mean?
Maybe speak on how the Christian view of religion or spirituality is kind of holding people back in certain ways. And, that's because I think you had said something how people want to be their beliefs or they are their beliefs. Mm-hmm. Speak on that a little bit. What do you think about that? Mm-hmm. I think you've already covered it, but.
Well, no, I think there's a problem. I saw what was it? Starseed. I'm a member of a Starseed Facebook group, and one of them made a comment about Jesus, and I realized that she hadn't separated Jesus the Nazarene from Jesus Christ, the Son of God, who is not a person, and it can't be a person. It's not possible that the Son of God can be a person because God has no identity. So his Son is not a persona identity. It's an object or a thing or a product. You see?
Right. Well, when you say God has no identity, what do you mean by that?
No ego, therefore no identity.
Oh, right. Okay. But okay. All right.
God has no name.
Oh man, this is what me and Steve.
For me, dude, that was big. That was huge, Phil.
Yeah, this is what me and
right there. That moment right there was one of the biggest ones. That was huge.
Yeah,
and on that bombshell. Yeah.
Because I've always tried to wrap my mind around that. What do they mean by God has no name?
Yeah.
We discussed this the other day on the phone, didn't we, Steve? Because I was looking at like the Roman maxims of law in like the Black's Law dictionaries, and one of them is that which has no name does not exist. So,
right.
What happened?
I think Jack's laptop, it might be overheating or something because mine does that. Mine's okay though.
Oh, he must have dropped out.
Yeah, he'll come back in.
Yeah, so I mean that right there, Phil. I mean, boom, dude, that was huge.
Yeah.
I was stuck at like, why does he? Okay, God has four names or whatever, and then God has no name, and but now I get it. It's like wow, and it's weird how these epiphanies can come to you one right after another, and then you won't get any for a while, and then all of a sudden, boom.
Yeah, that's right.
That's the exuberance I feel when I like read Caitlin's all of her comments, on the videos. You can tell when somebody's excited, and it brings new life to my journey because then I'm like, wow, I remember that. Yeah. And then helping her and passing it on is awesome.
Yeah, we can ping off each other,
Yeah.
That's where interaction is very powerful.
That's an echo chamber of sorts, or do you think that's just healthy spiritual growth.
What is Steve?
You know, like we were just talking about how you know, certain people will come together as a group and you know what I mean, and bounce ideas and stuff, and then you know sometimes that grows. But do you think that's kind of a stupid question because I already know the answer to that? So you know, because people would say it's an echo chamber when you agree with everything somebody says, you know.
Right. You don't have to agree with everything. Yeah, but I mean, conversations can become intellectualized.
Yes.
If the person is not aware, if they don't know themselves as God, then their conversation is going to be intellectualized. But with somebody who knows, that there's a completely different conversation, really. It's a funny one, really. I had a real issue with this because if you tell people this is this and that is that, and they don't know that, what you're saying, you're basically trying to force them to agree with you.
Yes.
You know, which is a bit of an issue because they're supposed to be proving this and that to themselves, and I don't have to force anyone to agree with anything I say, ever. You know, it's not an issue to me. I don't need to be agreed with.
Yeah.
I don't rely on.
That's why you could just set your pencil down and not even respond to what's coming at you about a certain topic, like you were just talking about the Jesus thing.
Yeah.
Where did that go? How did that end? Or you know.
Yeah. Oh, well, Jesus the Nazarene thing. Yeah. She was saying, recognize that Jesus spilt his blood in death for our sins, and of course, whenever I hear that, that's a classic Christian statement that they cannot back up at all, because that makes zero sense whatsoever. The only sense I can get out of that is from the Martin Luther King quote about being able to stand up for your beliefs and having the guts to die for what you believe. So if Jesus the Nazarene had the guts to put himself forward and die in front of everyone for what he believed and what he was saying was the truth, then there's a person who gets crucified by the Romans. You know, obviously he's an ascended master, so there's no problem with physically dying. He hasn't got an issue with that. Everyone else has. Everyone's like crying their eyes out because they think the Jews have killed the Messiah. No. You know, that's just silly. The issue with Jesus is, in my mind, the main issue is the misunderstanding of the Son of God concept that no Christian seems to understand at all, because they'll read the Gospel of John, and it tells them specifically in the Gospel of John that the Son of God is the creator of the cosmos, and that cannot be. It's a principle. It cannot be a person. You could almost say that we and God create the cosmos, but we don't. We don't actually create the cosmos. God generates the abyss, and in so doing generates the Son of God, who in the abyss generates the cosmos. So it's specifically the Son of God that does that by himself, and he's a very naughty boy for doing that, apparently, because he does it without divine consent. It's automatic, you know. So you'll read in the Gnostic text that he's a naughty boy. Ariel yelled about. Yeah, that's very naughty. You shouldn't do that. You should have asked God first.
Yeah, he's gone against the divine. Yeah.
Yeah, that's just a way of talking, of describing that something automatic has occurred.
So us in union with God does not create the light itself.
Yeah, it creates the light. God is that when he enters your body, he's referred to as the Holy Spirit, and of course he expands from your head into what the Apocryphon of John calls Barbello, which is the feminine appellation for the abyss.
The womb.
Yeah, it's like a womb. Yeah, but it's zero-dimensional, so it's infinite. When you're inside it, it's infinite, but it's physically, from a physical point of view, it's just a location or a dot the universe can expand from. Yeah, it's the Son of God who generates the universe. There's no question. We don't. God doesn't. God doesn't do anything. It has nothing to do with the universe. Nothing to do with it whatsoever. In fact,
I wrap around that and I try to.
Yeah, because God is blameless. People say, "Oh, that was an act of God." No, it's not.
Because God has no name.
Yeah, God had nothing to do with that. It's just the automatic system that you're in, called the physical world, and don't worry about it. You know, you're going to have probably many lifetimes anyway to get to your awakening. But I can awaken you in 5 minutes if I just remind you that you just stop and ask yourself, what the heck are you doing
Yep.
right now? What are you doing? Why are you doing it? What is how far does the reasoning of what you're doing go? So if I'm walking down the road, somebody could say, what are you doing? I could say, well, I'm going to the shop to buy a chocolate bar. That's a very trivial thing to do. But if I'm walking down the road to go and meet somebody who is an incarnated angel, to have a conversation about metaphysics that might wake up my brain to the realization I'm one with God anyway, that's a completely different reason for me walking down that road. Yeah, it's no longer trivial. Yeah, you see my point?
Right.
There?
Yeah. There's no drama attached to it. It's
Yeah. How far is your vision? What is your vision? Krishna keeps emphasizing have the furthest vision you can. The man and the man of vision and I are one. Krishna says. See, so the vision goes into the infinite. I can see for miles and miles.
You're not talking about like thinking into the future. You're thinking about just past the whole concept of time and what everything is.
Yeah, which is partly why I studied physics to get into relativity, so I could understand and go
Position,
beyond.
vector, and whatnot. That's as soon as you said this is my position on it earlier in the show, when you said position, I got this smile on my face because I thought, wow, that's the vector position of quantum. And I was like, wow. so it's sort of like that, right? I mean, and how you start understanding stuff like that, how it folds in on itself, and how reality is everything and anything all at once, right?
Hey, Jack.
By that?
Yeah, sorry about that. I was running Zoom on my phone. I just set up my desktop and I don't have basically technical issues, but I just remembered I've got another computer, my laptop, so I'm back. Yeah.
Cool.
I don't know what you guys were talking about just then, but when you mentioned that God has no name, Steve, this is what we were contemplating the other day on the phone, because I was thinking about the fact that God has no name because no one existed before God to give him a name, right? God's the Aeon giving Aeon. And then I was
talking about Roger Penrose and his CCC model and
right. And I was thinking about how in law you need the correct like in the legal system, you need the correct legal entity's name to like be involved with it. And they say that which has no name does not exist. Mm-hmm. So I was like, well, that maxim's not true with respect to God, but then I realized that means God is transcendent of the law, and the law would be the logos, basically. Do you see what I mean? Rather than saying God is the law, it's like, no, God's beyond the law. The demiurge is the law. The word of God is the law. And that's what binds us to the wheel of samsara until we get off it. Do you see what I mean? Like, I found that hyperlogical as well, because you could go, oh, well, therefore God does not exist. And it's like, yeah, but that's an impossibility. So
that's semantics.
The light itself, it shows you God exists, right?
Right, the semantics of the word exists and non-existence it confuses people. About 90% of people I've encountered who use those words are confused because they don't realize the word existence simply refers to that which is physical, and non-existence is that which is not physical, which is spirit.
Yeah.
So you could say spirit exists, but it doesn't exist.
Yeah, so it'd be like saying manifest or unmanifest. Spirit is unmanifest. So yeah, I see what you mean. It's just really semantic. Like
the whole temperature thing, hot is cold and cold is hot, or they're on the same thing, but they're just different ends of the bookshelf, right?
Relatively.
Hey, it's actually cold today in Southern California, and it was raining and it's cloudy. It's beautiful.
75.
Right.
It was cold.
Yeah. So, what were you guys talking about while I was jumped out? So I can kind of.
I can't remember. I bet you Phil can't either.
Well, we were sort of going on from the idea that God has no name, and we were talking about that and aspects of that.
And the biggest nothing is the biggest something, which is the biggest nothing, right?
Yeah, it's kind of like that. It's a paradox of itself in a way. Yeah.
So how is that paradox resolved then?
by defining yourself as God.
Yeah, you become you can only be God, as Ptah says. I absolutely agree with that.
I love that document too, by the way.
So then you're saying that like in infinity is something that isn't intellectually grasped, rather is something that is experienced,
Known, yes, known
or known.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what. Yeah, because you can't intellectually know it, you can only experientially know it.
Yeah.
Yeah. I've because that's what I experienced years ago when I had my own little samadhi thing. It was definitely it was an experience, not a intellectual calculation on a chalkboard and going aha like that. It was totally different, you know. Maybe that's why I understand what the stuff that you teach, Phil. I don't know.
If you guys got any questions in chat, just put them in all caps and we'll try to get them right away, right off the bat, because we've been doing this for almost an hour and 15 minutes.
Yeah.
So if you got any questions, just put them in all caps and we'll get to them.
It just makes me laugh when you say all caps. I just straight away think of like maritime law and the Jordan Maxwell conspiracy theories about.
I know. They have to do that. They have to do that in law. There must be a system that they use, and then conspiracy theorists come and say, "Hey, look, they've got this system. Isn't that naughty? They shouldn't really have that system." But in fact, you need a system, otherwise you can't maintain law. So it's like, well, we have to have it, but we don't like it. You know?
Well, it's like right now how they want to dissolve the police departments in the United States, you know, and they got that whole push. They will, because of the whole George Floyd thing around here. That's what's going on in Minneapolis, you know, trying to get rid of the police department because of one bad incident and one bad cop or one, you know, all of that.
Throw the baby out with the bathwater.
Yeah, but I mean, let's see how long people in North Minneapolis last when the cops aren't around.
Yeah, nuke the mosquito.
Right, exactly. Yeah. Just like the Zika virus came about because they tried to do that in South America. You know, it was, you know, stunt the growth of the mosquito larvae. What happens? It came over to the human population because they were spraying everything with it. Yeah. So yeah, playing God in that way is really going to get us in trouble.
Yeah, interfering is one of the biggest problems as well. You know, and not
interfering how.
Thinking I must interfere and control this situation, you know, as if nature has no natural intelligence or artificial intelligence to it, as it were.
Yeah, that's what I meant when I said I'm giving up things. That's exactly what I meant, but I couldn't intellectually explain it. I'm giving up interfering with the physical universe and just letting it be. That's exactly what I mean by it. Not like, oh, I don't desire anything, I'm just going to meditate on a rock all day and that's the end of that. That's exactly what I meant. Yeah.
Yeah, I got that. Yeah.
Meddling with the status quo and all that nonsense.
Yeah, right.
You know, because I'm an Aquarius, right, in tropical astrology, and I was watching a video about Aquarius, and they're like, "You're the social justice warrior of the zodiac. You fight for people's rights." And I'm watching this, going, "No, no." Aquarius is the nonconformist,
right?
You know, it's the rebel archetype, you know.
But you also have all the other influences in your. Oh,
I know. Yeah. This
Every
is
planet.
this is just very low resolution fucking new age astrology. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Only looking at your sun sign is going to be very limiting. Yeah.
Oh, on that point of astrology, America's going through its Pluto return right now.
Right. Retrograde.
Which is interesting, which I think is why the fabric of American society is being torn apart and it's impacting on the Western society.
Right.
So you factor that in with Kali Yuga, and there's no need to worry about it, you know.
Right. Yeah.
We got a question in chat. Daddy Madass, which I like the name, by the way. Where to fit all the paranormal stuff that's flooding the internet right now?
Right.
Paranormal stuff. Is it real? Is it fake? Is it, you know, is it overrated?
What specifically? Because there's a whole gamut of things in the paranormal. I don't know about you, but I've actually been in a place where the spirit who used to live there still lives there.
Oh, I've experienced some stuff like that. Yeah.
Yeah. He's always there. Whenever I went round, there he is. He's doing something different every time.
When you
Like
look at a
throwing
building, you can see if there's something in there. Some of us can. I can feel it. You just
Yeah.
feel
This one was a noisy ghost.
Oh, really? That would have been cool.
Yeah,
Oh, yeah.
Here's my question: as a material spirit questioning a disincarnate spirit haunting a place, like what on earth is it doing? Like, why is it just hanging around? Like, and I don't know the answer, but like,
I do.
well, yeah. What is
Very simple. It's very simple. You if you die, you go with what you know. A lot of people, when they die, the very first thing, if they're halfway around the world and they die, the first thing they do is go home, because that's what they're familiar with. They think, no, I need to go back to base. Yeah. So that person will immediately visit their home instantly. It's the first place they go every time. They don't hang around in graveyards. Who would want to hang around in a graveyard?
It's too spooky, hey?
It's dead there.
What is that? Only freaks and weirdos do that if they're and they're wandering about. If you
Well, I
look
must
at
be a freaking weirdo because I grew up in a cemetery. It was my playground. Seriously, I'm right across the street from it. I played it in.
Are either of you familiar with the Enfield poltergeist case?
Yeah.
Yeah. Do you remember it?
They made the film about that in Paranormal Activity 3, I think, is about that.
Conjuring 2. Conjuring 2.
Oh, The Conjuring 2. Yeah, The Conjuring 2. Yeah.
Overly dramatized.
Right.
Overly dramatized. They had to do that, to make it a bit more like what's that film? Oh God, where the girl gets possessed.
Oh, The Exorcist.
That's it, The Exorcist. Yeah, so they're trying to get into that genre with it, but it wasn't quite like that. It was a pure poltergeist activity, pure poltergeist, and the energy was coming from Janet, the girl herself, but her energy was being used and directed by the attention of the person who was standing on top of her. He was using her. I know how that works now.
Like a video game, like somebody that plays a video game has a controller.
In a way, yeah. They're just using your energy.
How does that work then?
Well, Janet was 12 years old. Well, if you think about it, when you put water into a cup, it becomes the cup.
Yes.
Yeah, and all that sort of thing. Well, spirit does that. If it embodies a physical thing that uses a system of energy like a human being, it can direct that energy as well.
This brings us back to Cali Yuga, because Kali, one of his 5 homes, it was like areas of suffering, alcohol, prostitution, gambling, and the last one the king gave him was gold. So all the gold in the world is possessed by the spirit Kali, according to the Hindus at this time. And maybe that's why people with all this fucking gold are going fucking crazy and getting further away. I'm just throwing it out there,
Yeah, these things energetically, everything is energy. And you guys know everything is energy, in physical existence and manifestation. It's all about energy. And your ascension takes you into a place where you start to master the use of energy.
Now, when you were talking about that poltergeist case and the entity using that girl's body, now, if you have the mindset of they can't touch me or they can't use me or the whole just I'm more powerful than that. Can that in itself stop that sort of thing?
Yes, because Janet invited it to herself. She used to do Ouija boards with her sister, and they used to play around with all that sort of thing. And it turns out that this spirit hangs around with other spirits who can't move on in the local park, and they decided to pay his house a visit. And when they realized that the 2 girls were using Ouija boards, they used it to their advantage. And this guy jumped on Janet because she was such a producer of energy, a source of energy for this person.
And she was in ignorance doing what she was doing without.
Yeah, she didn't know. She was 12 years old.
It's funny that you say that, because the Emerald Tablets of Thoth, it speaks about that very same thing, opening portals to entities that you know nothing about and not how to stop or to retract.
Well, this goes into the whole idea of working with the the Goetia, ceremonial magic, and that kind of thing. You know, because it's something I've always been interested in, and I've understood you need to pull spirits to the physical plane. It's best to be out in the fucking boonies in the middle of nowhere. So I drove out into the desert a few weeks ago to like see if I could find a spot that would be useful for that kind of thing. But I'm more interested in the John D angelic thing. And it's interesting that often demons will come pretending to be angels, and you got to kind of level up past them all. And yeah, I was in the middle of the desert, no phone signal, no GPS, no wildlife birds because it was so hot. So it was, the silence was palpable. It was a deafening silence. And I was like, damn, like if I was like trying to interact with spirit in this place, it would be much, much more efficacious because it's much cleaner. It's a much cleaner portal for them to come through.
You would have no distractions though. When it's nice and quiet, you've got no distractions. Your focus can be sharpened, and sustained.
Yeah, the only trouble is it's fucking hot. But yeah, you're supposed to do it in the first hour of the day, and that's supposedly the best time. But I don't.
You've done some of this magic stuff, right, Jack? I mean,
yeah. No,
your wife has been involved in that stuff, right?
Yeah. Well, Phil mentioned as you develop in your ascension, you start working with energies more. And really the progression is you start working with planetary energies through planetary invocations. They're
the archetypes, you mean?
Yeah, they're very simple to do and they're highly efficacious. If you align the zodiac to, you know, so you want to work with Jupiter, you do it in Sagittarius or Pisces, whatever. You work with the moon in Cancer or Taurus, whatever. And yeah, but this is another point that I made earlier, is that like people get into magic because their life sucks and they want to get money, they want to get fame, they want to get power, they want like more sex and stuff like that. And
only
to me,
some.
that's
Some.
well, some do. That's the black path where they can manipulate the muggles over themselves. But like for me, I really think it's just the tool for bringing my psyche into an ever greater sense of balance and depolarizing my psyche so I can follow what Iamblichus, all the stuff Iamblichus wrote about in his writings, you know.
That's the path of the witch and the warlock. Yeah, basically, isn't it? You're basically saying you're a warlock by doing that. You know, it's a male witch, effectively, isn't it? A warlock.
Yeah,
if I'm right with that etymology or that association. But I know quite a few witches. I've known witches all my life. I absolutely love witches. I love them because of what I love their mentality.
No, I'm just kidding.
Say again.
Nothing. It was a bad joke.
Oh. I didn't catch it. So.
Don't say it again. The YouTube algorithm will get you.
It was just stupid, so I won't repeat it. But
I definitely feel like magic's all well and good, and it's good for helping you with what you need to like just get by in life. But I definitely think when you start using it to succumb to your desires born out of greed, then you're creating problems for yourself. You know, I really feel that way. And the thing is like with the knowledge that, well, it's divorced from mysticism right now because magic's a broken technology, but with true knowledge of mysticism becomes like the, you know, I'm not going to bother doing like an operation for more money because I don't need more money, you know. I mean, it would be nice, but I simply don't need it. So there's no point bothering. I don't see the point in trying to, what I'm trying to say is like I don't see the point using magic for things of a transitory nature, you know, but to transform your psyche with magic, that's something, and to gain wisdom and understanding, these are things you can take with you in your next incarnation.
Isn't that what shantras, mantras, and stuff like that are in the Hindu faith, or what they practice? You know, when they say mantras, and you know, they hold their hands a certain way, and
It's
you know,
kind of in a way.
like the Christogram, right? I mean, the Christogram is something that it brings. I mean,
it's very self. I was just going to say it's very self-suggestive. Like chanting and looking at symbols, being in a temple, it's highly suggestive, you know. But it's suggestive in the right direction, I suppose, if that's what you're looking for. Which just shows that everything is suggestion, but you know, is it useful or not? Can it be useful or not?
Well, that's how somebody with faith can read the Bible, be confused, not understand it, and still be in the right because they have their faith in the right place, right?
Well, there's a lot of wisdom that's easily accessible in the Bible anyway. You know, even if you don't know the symbolic language, you're going to get something decent out of it, no matter what.
Yeah.
Right. You know.
Until you start thinking God is wrathful, slaying everybody because of their misgivings and whatever. But yeah, you know, because that's where everybody goes whenever you start bringing up the Bible and God. That, you know, why is God this or why is God that? And you know, God's to blame for everything, and you know what I mean. But,
You can't automatically say that is the divinely inspired word of God. If one person, what if you had somebody who became illuminated in the past, and they ended up feeling as though they wanted to go on their own, they want to negate divinity, even though they've experienced it, because you can see it. It depends on the person, it depends on their outlook, and it depends on if they keep developing. Because I found that illumination itself was actually a starting point. And it's a starting point for re-establishing reality in your understanding. You know, you build back, you build to it in the first place to find it, and then you build your way back and make your pyramid perfect as a result. That's when the pyramid becomes perfect, after illumination.
When you just said that, I envisioned Marco Rodin's vortex energy thing, how it pulsed back and forth when you just did that.
Yeah, it reminded me, that statement, Phil, reminded me of like how when you have the hero's journey in a film, it's like they don't just disappear into the ether. They like, you know, they live happily ever after and they're back where they started, but everything's different now. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, they now they know.
Yeah.
Now they know what's what. Yeah, it's the same place, but your difference in awareness is going to mean you're going to create a different future. Yeah, for yourself.
Truth says in the Old Testament, God is Satan. Can you elaborate on that?
Yeah, Satan. The word Satan means opposer, pertaining to the opposer of God. And of course, if God is spirit, the only opposite to spirit is that which is physical or energy. And the creator, the pineal light as the creator is looking at its physical quality, because it's born of spiritual union, but it's a physical product as well. So it's the marriage of energy and spirit. The Son of God is the perfect union of those two opposites.
Yeah.
But in its creative position, it's only thought of in its physical terms, because it's creating a cosmos that is physical. Therefore, it's the opposer of God. It does the opposite of God. God generates the abyss, which is infinite and eternal. But the Son of God can only create a mimic of that, which is not infinite and eternal. So it's lesser. So he's a bit of an idiot in that sense. That's why they call him Saklas. But yeah, the Satan is the creator. Or it's the light as the creator only.
Right.
Yeah.
The light aspect, the Lucifer aspect, the light bearer aspect of it, right?
Yeah. Lucifer isn't necessarily evil. Lucifer literally means the bearing of light, and it's just saying, well, there's a light. That's all. You know, it's the word Satan is more evil, has more evil connotation, in the sense that it specifies the opposite of God, which is obviously evil if God is good, but really it's saying that it's physical. Physical is satanic.
Right. And the ones who are stuck in the cars, stars, and bars mentality of this world, or an ignorant human, could be considered Satan or satanic, correct?
Satanic, yeah, it depends on their focus. If they're only living for physical things and physical pleasure only, that is a satanic existence.
Yeah,
But
but
then
also isn't that an existence void of wisdom as well?
if it's only physically orientated and about desire and satisfying lust and greed and what have you,
Yeah,
then that's satanic. Yeah,
yeah,
you could
yeah.
say that. But then in a rational sense, you could just say, well, that's just normal life. We have sex, we eat, we desire both, and we satiate both. But then how far do you take it? And normally people do have a sort of wondering for what else there is, so they try not to be 100% satanic in their life as well. It's very easy to condemn.
Yes, and that this is why when you fast, how you withhold that which keeps you alive from yourself, and you
Hmm.
prove your will to yourself, or how does that factor in? Why is fasting a big part of a spiritual, some people's spiritual journey, or maybe if it's not a big part of yours, you do it, because I've done
Yeah.
it for 3 days and it was amazing.
I do it. I do it. It cleans your blood. It's a natural detoxer for your physical system, your physiology. It
But
cleans
on a
your blood.
spiritual level, what does it do for you?
Oh, spiritually, I don't think it does an awful lot. I suppose you can forget about the desire of eating for a day, so you can more focus on your being. That's all I see in that. But I mean, there is a physiological reason for fasting, which is intelligent. It's about cleansing your system, and you need to have a clean system to be able to ascend. Your liver must be clean and healthy. Yeah,
Why is that?
your body. Well, to be your best and highest self, you need to get decent sleep. You need to have a good diet. You need some exercise. You need to drink plenty of water. You're basically looking after yourself and showing yourself the greatest love that you can.
Because
That is a spiritual a spiritual attitude.
I
Yeah.
think physiologically, though, that doing all of that, it allows you to think more clearly, and that helps a lot. Rather than getting caught up in all this dramatic emotion of this is going on now, that's going on. It doesn't. It has much less weight in your psyche that way.
Yeah. Right.
Yeah.
That's right, guys.
Yvonne Jordan comments, God is the word, says the Bible. We all learn through some kind of words, hence the power of life and death is in the tongue. In the words we speak, our work is to understand what we say by experience.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah, at the beginning of that, of course, some people suggest that the light is God, when in a way it's really the footprint of God. It's like God was here, as it
The
were.
communication from God, right?
Yeah,
Basically,
the
it
the
is.
painting is not the artist that produced the painting. Yeah,
Yeah, that's
I see
right.
that. I see when I say Jesus is the Lord. Christians use that mantra a lot, and I'm like, no, Jesus is not the Lord. And this goes back into God having no name and being beyond the law, and as you said, no identity. So yeah.
Okay, per usual, there's an undertone in the comment section of the them and they and whatnot. And Giant has brought up a perfect thing that I've come to terms with recently. Are you familiar with the Emerald Tablets? And I'm not saying that they're all from because to me, Thoth is a pen name of sorts of people that had wisdom and you know what I mean, and wrote all this stuff down. But it says, forever they walked and worked in the darkness, hiding from the light in the darkness of night, silently, secretly use they their power, enslaving and binding the souls of men. Now, to me, that used to mean something to me when I first read that a long time ago. After reading it over and over again and learning on my journey, I've realized that they is exactly the ego we're talking about in this show right here, right? I mean, it's our own things that bring us down, right?
It's the intention of generating physical products, basically, you could say, as opposed to a spiritual product or a spiritual awakening. It's just the attention on physical things to have physical acquisition. In a way, you could say.
And I think that's because it in that specific tablet he's referencing, it says that they by their vibration could hide, like they were serpent headed. Well, the serpent is the seed of man that is against the wholeness of God, right? I mean, that's what the serpent in us is, the intellectual part that thinks they're above that, or they're not in the right focus with their intellect, right?
Well, the intellect thinks it can know everything,
Yes.
which it can't. So,
And is that the serpent-headed seed of serpents? That whole where the serpent comes from. Right?
to me, the serpent is the awakened nervous system.
It can be.
Yeah, this is that's Rahu and Ketu, the north and south nodes of the moon in Eastern astrology. You have the tail of the dragon, Ketu, which brings you enlightenment, and then the head, Rahu, is the ego going for what it thinks it desires, and Phil, you look like you're tired. You look like you're ready to go to the land of Nod.
I'm starting to fall asleep now. It's 10 past 11 here, and I'm getting up at 7.
Yeah, we'll end this then, dude. Hey,
all right.
Appreciate it, man.
Well, you guys can carry on. I can go. I need to go to bed.
Yeah, go to bed, brother.
Okay.
I don't want to hold you here. I sure appreciate your time, and
Yeah, that's right.
all your effort and everything you do, man. I love you, brother. I really do. I really.
I love you guys too. You know that.
For us.
Well,
So, brother.
There's an awful lot more. There's an awful lot more we could talk about. We could
always.
we
Like
could
you
do
said,
a whole...
even in your journey, the mountain grows higher the further you climb it, right?
It seems to sometimes, yeah. No, it's just the mirror soul thing. There's so much to that I have to say now. I've gotten to know it as a subject. It's a fascinating subject.
It's been consuming you, and there was a couple of questions earlier. So, have you met her yet? Have you made face-to-face contact yet?
Kind of, but see, we are actually the same person. That's the weird thing about it. You try and explain that to a regular person and say, what are you talking about? Well, we're the same soul. We're two polarities of one soul. And I understand that now experientially. I didn't believe it intellectually before because it didn't make much sense. I didn't see why that would be the case. And of course, the argument semantically is that we don't need somebody else to be complete, which is always true anyway. But that's not what the twin flame journey is about. It's about the true spiritual journey. Leading to full and final ego death, basically, which the ego doesn't die. It's just a semantic expression to refer to the fact that you come into your presence fully 24/7 and never bother with your intellect or your emotions. That you never engage with them as though that's all there is ever again. So you master yourself. So it's about mastering yourself.
Right. So that presents itself in pretty much everybody's journey. Eventually, the twin flame thing, like you were experiencing it.
Yeah, but some people have it whenever, there's a twin, they call it a twin flame community because it hits you whenever you're doing what is of the highest nature. And it's always the divine feminines who are engaged in that, not the divine masculine polarities. It's just, that's not a gender designation. There's nothing to do with physical gender. It's just a designation to refer to your energetic polarity. So I'm the positive polarity, so I give. My twin is a negative polarity, so she'll take from me, but if I reach out to her, she'll run away. See, so I have to turn my attention in on myself and be my highest self to myself. And then she will naturally simply become one with me, as it were, gravitate towards me and feel the need to do that. So just, I've felt her emotions inside me kicking like a woman who's pregnant with a baby. Yeah. A few, 3-4 days ago, it went on for about 4 days. Not all day, but in the main part of the day, and I could feel their emotions. It certainly wasn't mine. I was zen. Wow. So I was experiencing my twins' emotions. Yeah.
And really that's forced you to become even closer to your true condition.
Yes, as well, but it also forces you to step away and recognize you are not your emotions, or you are not emotions, because there's somebody else's emotions being felt in your body that have nothing to do with you as such. So you are stepped back from it already.
So you have to get away from your own emotions, then somebody else's?
Well, no, because it just enforces the teaching that you are not emotions.
Yeah.
Do you see what I mean? So then you realize it fully and you think, I see. So I'm never going to be brought down by my own emotions ever again. Do you see what I mean?
Yeah.
Because it's people who hurt themselves. yeah, without realizing they are not their emotions. They tend to think, well, am I going to dwell in these horrible emotions? You know, how long for? A lot of people in Thailand, when I was there, committed suicide. Not that I knew them, but it was normal for people to get overly emotionally traumatized by something trivial as the man they love has married somebody else, and now they're going to go and jump off a bridge and kill themselves because they can't handle the emotion. Well, if they realize they are not their emotion, they'll be able to handle it. Do you see?
Yeah,
Mhm.
no, I going through so much adverse emotions in the last 3 months. I understand that, but you still have to you have to let it pass. You can't block it in. You have to
That's
let
right.
it move through.
Yeah, there
If
is
you
no
block it in, then it makes things worse. You know.
yeah. You allow, and you can allow when you realize you are not the emotion, so you can allow it. Do you see?
Mhm.
Yeah.
If
Yeah.
you're not it, you can allow it easily. So you're aware of it all the time, but you are not affected by it. You might be compassionately affected by it, which I am, because all I want to do is throw my arms around her and tell her it's okay, you know. But that physical thing has yet to come. Obviously, it will. Of course, it will. It's natural. It's normal. It's unavoidable.
Right. Well, hey,
Yeah.
on that note, I'm glad you're doing good, and
Yeah. Same. You too.
you have a good
Yeah.
night, brother. And then sleep tight. Don't let the bed bugs bite.
Yeah. I'll try not to. Thanks, man.
And don't get too
Goodbye, everyone.
bored and locked down and overeat or anything, because
No.
you need
No.
these to cool off your laptop next time we talk to you.
Yeah. Thanks, guys. Much
Yes.
appreciated. It's always
Yeah.
good talking
Same.
to you, Phil.
Yeah. Same, man. Nice to see both of you.
You too, brother.
Yeah.
I'm glad you're there. Okay, I'm gonna go. Good
All
night,
right, guys.
everyone.
All right.
Take it
See
easy,
ya.
pal.
Take care.
Bye.
Bye. Yeah, Jack, I appreciate you joining us, and everybody in chat, thanks for joining us. My final message is this is what I wanted to get across to everybody. Right now in our world, we are looking across the tracks saying it's all because of them, and it's all because of them, and it's all because of that. What they're doing is causing everything that we are experiencing.
You know, on that point,
Stop for a minute. Stop for a minute and say to yourself, why do I feel like that?
yeah.
And if we correct that in ourselves first and foremost, I think the rest will take care of itself.
I tell you what I find bizarre. If you go on like CNN or Fox, or no, if you go like MSNBC or CNN on like YouTube, all the people in the comments think like Trump's like some evil dictator when
Yes.
like who's committed all these atrocities. And then you go on Fox and they believe like the left are going to be like some communist single state
Right.
empire, and in reality it's just not like that on either side.
They're both
But
the same.
it's the polarization. But yeah, who cares? Kali Yuga.
Right. But that's what I mean is just, separate yourself from the thinking on that level. And sure, we know that there's evil out there. There's evil afoot all the time, right? It's there. And it's what ignorant people do. They do evil things. Separate yourself from the ignorance, and doesn't make you better than anybody else. It doesn't mean you're living on a mountain and everybody's in a valley. Just separate yourself from it and live in your mind, in your own mind, as the best you can be. And I guarantee that we can see things through just as long as we go within you and you go within you. I'll go in within me, and we just carry out outwardly and just live inwardly, and nothing can phase us. I mean, I'm not saying ignore evil. I'm not saying if you see something bad, don't try to rectify it or help. But just separate yourself from the them and they and us mentality, because that is not doing us any good at all. Whenever we distinguish the they from me, for like you are you and I am me, and your thing is right and or my thing is wrong, or vice versa, we just create a division within the house that doesn't ever
Yeah,
you can't even
They-
address it.
there's interesting comments in the chat here. Gi Ant saying we're dealing with an evil control structure, and Yvonne's posing the question, well, how did it get evil? And
Yeah.
it's not really, it's ignorance. That's all it is. It's the mind and the heart divorced. Do you know what I mean?
Right. And that's what's going on. We're manifesting our feelings inside right now. When we have thoughts like that, that manifests itself on the outside. That is how
Yeah,
we are connected to our reality, regardless if you want to believe it or not. The
yeah.
enmity within us is causing the enmity without us everywhere. And whenever we make the distinction of you are you and I am me, and I'm right and you're wrong, is where the things start. And there has to be a point in which we get to an understanding within ourselves on a single level that it's going to affect the whole. You know?
That's why I always go back in what you're saying, and this pertains to like kind of like ceremonial magic as well. I always go back to that Iamblichus statement where he says like the most excellent good will liberate one from all things of a contrary nature, which he's talking about the logos in like high theurgy. You know, I always go back to that resoundingly profound statement that he made about how, you know, you don't have to, as Phil said, you don't have to get involved with it. You can stay out of the drama. You know, yeah.
Yeah, I'm not
Yeah.
saying ignore evil, and I'm not saying that it doesn't exist. I'm not saying, you know, I know that this whole CV thing is mostly contrived, but yet I do know that my daughter is sick with it right now with her boyfriend, and
Yeah.
she was a nurse.
You
You
know,
know,
here's the thing on that note as well. I still think like when you are a victim of like evil actions and stuff, you learn from it and it teaches you wisdom. And I think that's why God allows psychopaths to roam the earth and why they're in power at this time in Kali
God doesn't
Yuga.
allow anything. God is
Well,
blameless.
no, you know what I mean though. You know what I mean, and you're right.
Evil is
In
just a
terms of
natural
semantics,
process of nature.
right? Yeah, yeah. No,
Yeah, I
that's
agree with you. I totally agree.
That's what Kali Yuga says before he
Yeah,
comes. He says you have to let me come because
yeah, it's a
it's
process.
the process of time. Like I
Yeah,
can't not come. You know. So yeah.
right.
All right, dude. Are we gonna shut it down now? We can
Yeah,
close
I
it
just
out.
wanted
Yeah.
to get that. I just wanted to get that point across. You know, I do see what's going on in chat. So it's all about too many people. That's how things got out of balance. They're arguing back and forth, and I've noticed recently that Yvonne Gordon has gotten she's gotten a little spunky on her video, this last video, and I totally appreciate um the energy she put behind it, because I never see her like, you know, like trying to get her point across. And it was about this subject that I'm talking about the manifested. How did evil manifest itself? It's not through everybody else like everybody thinks it is. It's through our own thoughts of that evil and the thinking itself that it's from somebody else. You understand the logic there? That when
Mm-hmm.
we separate that and we blame everybody else for what's going on, when we perceive things as we perceive them, it's our perception in the end that is what dictates what we believe or what we follow or how we see the world. So
Yeah.
change our perception at the baseline, and I think we can. You know, I'm not saying think everything's happiness and rainbows and fairy tales and corn dogs, but you know, just be love, man. Just
Mm.
care. That's all we need to. Like MCF says, in Lakesh. You know, in Lakesh. Uh, Menza disagrees with me. Says, if you were president, I doubt very much you would bomb Iraq, for example. It's not my doing or fault of yours that innocent children are bombed. See, I'm not saying that it's all right to go bomb children. I'm not going to an extreme like that. You are. Now, where does that bring your mentality, Menza? When you have thoughts like that in your head about what you just said, what does that do for the whole? That's my point on this. You understand you follow that, Jack?
Mm-hmm.
You know, like how he just projected that out there. You know, like, okay, so the guy and I got bombed in Iraq, and so I'm sure you wouldn't do that. I mean, what does that bring? What does that bring? I mean, what did that prove, or what did that accomplish by that statement? You know, get what I mean? I'm not talking down to anybody. I'm just saying I just don't get the logic anymore. I used to be in the conspiracy side of things and say they, them, they're all against us. Running uphill with the pair of scissors is just as bad as rolling down a hill with a pair of scissors when you're going to cut your own head off. Because in the end, you're going to cut yourself. So, I mean, what's the point? That's what you're saying too. So,
yeah. All right, dude. I'm
all
gonna
right,
get
bro.
going.
Love,
It
peace,
was
chicken grease.
good to be on. Yeah, thanks to everyone in the chat as well. It's good to speak to Phil. And yeah, we'll do it next time, whenever.
Right. Yeah, I'll end it. All right. I just wanted to, I don't know why I just feel compelled to talk to back and forth with these guys.
If you want to keep going, keep going. You don't have to end it. I just need to. I haven't eaten any food today, and I'm
All right,
hungry.
go eat, brother. Take it easy.
Yeah. I'll keep you on in the background though. So yeah,
right,
thanks everyone.
Thanks, bud. So, what is your point? Okay, lost evil spirits need to be quarantined. We have to quarantine the evil. Evil persists because good men stand by and do nothing. You really think that? Do you not think tyranny is like a tree that doesn't bend in the wind? You know, if the tree doesn't bend in the wind, it eventually breaks, right? So a tyrant is gets the same, because it's against the law. It's against natural law. Tyranny finally gets defeated by its own actions, correct? Evil needs to be fixed. We have to fix them. How do you fix them? How do you fix anybody else but yourself? It's our fault that what? What's our fault? I never said we were to blame. I said nobody else is to blame. If we fix our own perception within ourselves, then the rest will take care of itself, is what I said. I didn't say that it was our fault that anything's happening. But it's you can't project fault onto somebody else. I mean, without rectifying your own perception of what's at fault is what I'm trying to get at. But yeah, I think we should, the same can be said for death versus life. Thinking that we must die only brings death, but life gives life. Okay. Step one, kidnap them. You know, I don't think we can't, no matter how big you think the problem is, or how big the evil is, or this or that, or this or that, there is, you getting on YouTube and making a comment about it is not going to get it rectified, even if it were true, or you know what I mean. I don't even know how to begin to even address that, but I do care. I do care about you guys. I do love you, and I appreciate you joining me in this what was a good journey for me, because I had an aha moment in there where the whole name of God is nameless thing came about, because it connected a couple key points in my journey. And I think that's essentially what it's all about, is our personal, narrow, through the eye of a needle gate journeys, path. That's what makes the path to God personal. And I think we all have our personal perspectives of what life is, what God is, you know, but there's one truth, guys, and it's all one for all for one. We are all one in the end, all made from the same juice. Point's not pint. Right. Yes, talk instead of do. That's very good. I could care less if anybody's there for me, but I'll always be there for you. You know what I mean? I could care less what I get in return for doing what I do. And that's the honest to God truth. I just, sometimes I just, I feel like I'm beating my head off the wall, but I continue on because I just feel that that's what I have to do. I get paid nothing for doing this, guys. I get nothing from it. I'm not monetized. I pay for Zoom every month. I pay for a YouTube subscription. So that's $26 a month I pay just to be on this thing. Okay. I do it not for any payback. I do it nothing but for satisfaction of my spiritual journey. My journey is this whole YouTube thing, because if without it, I would not be here where I am today with the understanding I have. And I would not have met the wonderful people I've met here. And I totally appreciate everything anybody's ever contributed intellectually, spiritually, even physically on an emotional negative level, because from the most negative experiences, I have learned the most, so I do appreciate all of it. None of us are paid to be here. And I appreciate that, I do appreciate that. But I just want people to know that I get nothing out of any of the time I spend here except for the satisfaction of knowing I'm doing what is right. And that's all I care about, is what is right. What is right for me is what is right for you. And, I do make mistakes. I'm not perfect, but I do care and I do love you all. So never be in despair. Know that Steve Stone cares. I'm not saying you're asking for money, Jan. Why are you doing that? I think fighting the evil is a personal thing that we need to do in ourselves first and foremost. And if the tyranny still exists after that, then so be it. Then I'm sure the natural law will take care of itself, meaning that the revolt will happen. But I think all of this whole situation, what we're going through on the political spectrum in every way, shape, or form, every division in our world right now is manifested through our lack of respect for who we truly are, ourselves, God, the one. We're all running the race where the one wins, like Yvonne always says, right? So let's win that race, guys. I do care. I do love you. Later on, you don't have evil in you. Okay. I think we all do. We all do. Even when